哎，你好，你好，哎，来，老张，来，老张，
哎呀，
啊，你好，你好，你好。
哎，呀，海林老师，好，
啊，海林也来了。
哎。
Well, welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the channel. You know where you are. This is No Redemption Outdoors. And this is another episode of the Breakfast Club. Welcome. Welcome, one and all. I appreciate you stopping by. I want to talk to you, though. If you are watching this video right now, you are among the elite. You are among the leaders and the best. And you should stand tall with your chest out, with pride, to be a member of the Unredeemables. So I want to congratulate you and thank you for stopping by. Well, it's been kind of a slow week. Thankfully, there wasn't any travel. Seems like I've been doing a lot of traveling lately, and I'm not keen for travel. I'm kind of a homebody. I don't mind saying. But I do have to do a bit of traveling next week, so I imagine the next episode of Breakfast Club will be filmed from the driver's seat of the pickup. So that's coming up next week. Also, I've been teasing this, but I think this weekend we're going to pull the trigger. We're going to begin a build series on an RC boat that I have. It is about a 56-inch hull, made of fiberglass, got a 26cc 4-stroke. Basically, it's a weed whip motor, gasoline. But we're going to hop it up, maybe put a bigger carburetor on it, maybe put a jacketed, tuned exhaust system on it, maybe play with the gearing or the props. Not sure. I'm going to let the hobby shop advise us on what best to do and based on the available parts. And we're going to, then once we get it all built, we're going to get a custom wrap made, and I'm going to take you along on the entire journey as we work through this. So that's going to be starting real soon, actually. The arrangements with the hobby shop have been more or less made, and we're just picking a date now. So that's coming. And of course, spring is here, or it's almost here, I should say. We got a taste of it again today. It's going to be, I think it's going to be in the mid-40s today here in Michigan. And we've had a streak of that. I think it's been north of 40 degrees all week. And that's a nice change of pace, I will tell you. And it's a taste of things to come. Now it's March, so we got more snow to go. We aren't out of the winter yet, but these little morsels of warm weather remind me of the greatness to come. Soon the ice will be off the lakes. The boat will be out of the garage. The fishing rods will be tuned up and ready to go. I'm telling you, it's just a matter of weeks. And we're going to take the camera with us. By gosh, by golly. We're going to have a good time, and I can't wait. Let's get into some news stories. So I'm going to put on my spectacles, and let's join me here. Now, I don't want to spend any time today talking about this damn coronavirus. I've talked about it a lot, and I imagine by now you are fully aware of everything that's going on because it's dominating the press. But I did find something a little humorous. This comes to us from New Delhi TV, of all things. NDTV. Wuhan Shake replaces traditional greetings amidst coronavirus fears. Footage going viral online shows two people in China using their feet to greet each other. People afraid to shake hands amidst coronavirus fears have devised a way of greeting each other. Footage going viral online shows two people in China using their feet to greet each other instead of performing the traditional handshake or hug. So, let's take a look at this. That's pretty funny, but you know what? I'll bet it catches on. I mean, born out of necessity, but it may end up being a fad. It may end up being a thing. Just bump feet. Don't shake hands. Let's not spread the disease. All right. Now let's get into a real story. This story is going to come to us from UPI. Dateline February 21, 2020. Oklahoma man's 157-pound paddlefish unofficially breaks world record. Now, I have to be honest here. I did not know what a paddlefish is. I had to look it up. Turns out it's freshwater fish, or at least there are freshwater varieties, near as I can tell. But this is almost a prehistoric species of fish. And if you look at it, it looks prehistoric. And they get quite large. So I found out what a paddlefish is, and let's get into the story here. Wildlife officials in Oklahoma said a man unofficially broke state and world records when he reeled in a paddlefish estimated at 157 pounds. The Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation said Justin Hamlin was on a guided fishing trip on Keystone Lake on Valentine's Day when he reeled in a paddlefish estimated at 157 pounds. That must have been quite a thing. I'm guessing he wasn't fishing for a paddlefish, so he probably wasn't using a rod and reel geared towards a 157-pound fish, so that must have been an experience. The department said Hamlin was required to release the fish due to a state regulation requiring paddlefish caught on Monday and Fridays to be released. The release meant Hamlin's fish wasn't eligible to be recorded as a state or world record, but he unofficially broke both the state record of 132 pounds and the world record of 144 pounds. So let me get this straight. In Oklahoma, on Mondays and Fridays, you can't keep paddlefish. That strikes me as a random way to decide Mondays and Fridays. What is special about Mondays and Fridays? So he has to return it, but as a consequence of catching it on the wrong day, and he has to return the fish, he doesn't get to keep his record? Well, ain't that a bitch? Why is that? I mean, I understand that he can't keep the fish. I mean, arbitrary as it may seem, they have a rule that on Mondays and Fridays you can't keep a paddlefish. But why does that negate the record, I wonder? Is that true across the board? Like, I know in some states, I don't know about Michigan so much. I've not really seen it so much here, but I know in Minnesota and various other states, they have slotted limits for, like, walleye, for example. And so if a walleye falls within a certain range, you have to return it. If it's above or below it, you can keep. And this kind of reminds me of that, and I understand, but my question is, if you catch a fish that you must return that's not legal, does that mean that you don't get to record the record? And apparently that's the case, and I'm just asking the question. Comment down below if you understand how this works. So if you catch a world record fish, but it happens to be on a day that it's not legal to keep it, that means your record is not valid. That's what I'm getting out of this. So that seems wildly unfair, but if that's the rules, that's the rules. I'm surprised by it. So maybe somebody can comment below and tell me how this works. But it's cool. It's cool that he caught it. I understand they have them in the Great Lakes. I don't know if I've ever heard of anybody catching one here in Michigan. Apparently they have, but I'm just not aware of it. So, yeah, moving on. All right, so our next story comes to us from Australia. This is a new way to use a fishing rod, by the way, and it's causing me to rethink the ways in which I've been using my fishing rods. This comes to us from ATI. It's published on March 4, 2020. Australian thief steals Versace necklace from jewelry boutique using a fishing rod. I couldn't believe it. 3.5 hours with 2 rods trying to get this necklace was amazing. Hook, line, and sinker, I guess. Well, you got my attention. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. teach a man to fish, and he'll steal a Versace necklace from a high-end fashion store using a fishing rod. The daring heist happened in the middle of the night on February 24. Surveillance footage shows the man approaching the store, style, with 2 rods just after 2 a.m. Authorities believe he made a hole in the storefront window earlier and then came back to finish the job. Now that's the first question I have. How in the hell did he make a hole in the window? And that nobody noticed. And why wouldn't that trigger the alarm system? So that's question number 1. After looking around to make sure nobody was watching, the suspect slid his fishing rod through the hole and underneath the necklace on the mannequin's neck to remove it. Of course, he didn't quite manage to catch the $800 piece of jewelry on the end of his rod on his first try. So apparently he tried more than once and eventually succeeded. As you know, if at first you don't succeed, try again. This guy obviously lived by that. It appears that the burglar was fishing for about 3 hours before landing his catch, the police said in a statement. Let's take a look at this. Is that what he stole? It's pretty outrageous and courageous, he said, to think he went back once, then twice, with a fishing rod and a hook to make a little hole in the window, then capture that necklace. I was pretty shocked. I wonder if they caught the guy. Let's see if they caught him. No, it looks like they didn't catch him. It says, furthermore, the resourceful fisherman did leave one clue behind in the form of a hook from his fishing line. While that's unlikely to help authorities crack the case, they have made both their suspect description and footage of the crime publicly available, perhaps allowing someone to come forward with a tip. So to summarize, what I'm gathering here is that this guy took a fishing rod and fished it through a hole that he had made through the window, and I'm kind of stuck on how that happened, but he fished it through a window, and then with a hook on the end of his line, he snagged a piece of jewelry. Now my question is, since he snagged the jewelry, is he obligated to return it? Or is it legal to keep since he snagged it? Wow. I'm going to take another look at my fishing rods and how I might be able to use them in new and creative ways. Well, the guy made it. He got away with it. At least for now, so they're on the lookout. If anybody sees a dude walking around with a fishing rod with a necklace on the end of it, I guess you can call this number they have, and Crime Stoppers in Australia, and maybe there's a reward. Who knows? All right, well, our next story comes to us from Popular Science.
Yes, science!
It comes from 2014, so it's a little bit older story. This Scrabble playing robot talks trash. Well, right away, I love the concept. Let's see what they say here. The bot's programmers intentionally constrained its vocabulary so it wouldn't be impossible to beat, but it ain't friendly. Okay, let's see. Robots that can win at games as complex as chess are nothing new. But what about a robot that acts more human-like, that talks trash? Carnegie Mellon University professor Reed Simmons and his students have created a Scrabble-playing robot named Victor that talks to its human opponents and often insults them, according to the Wall Street Journal, especially when it's losing. Now that's humorous. All right, so the robot, when it starts to lose, it gets pissy and starts trash talking. It starts to lose its Scrabble, and it resorts to trash talking. It's funny. Simmons began to work on Victor 5 years ago and taught it how to play Scrabble, since it is a game with which most people are familiar. He intended to make it fun to compete against. He was very insulting in a funny way, said Bryn Flynn, a graduate student who recently played Victor. Let's see what kind of insults this thing's hurling. This should be good. Here are some of Victor's best insults. Since you're human, I guess you think that's a pretty good move. When a human played the word mitering, earning a 50-point bonus for using all 7 tiles. Victor said, "I can't believe your feeble mind was able to play that word. That's your trash talk? You need to step it up there." When a human opponent tried to pass off a word that wasn't in the dictionary, Victor said, "This is not Happy Land of make-believe. We only use real words." Again, that's trash talk? Somebody needs to teach the programmers how to trash talk. That's not trash talking. That's just having a conversation. No, guys, you got to step it up. Look, I love the concept. I just don't think it's well executed. But yeah, I want to see more of this. I want to see. How about this? How about if we have Alexa hurling insults? Like if we ask Alexa something stupid, she just blurts it out. What are you, a moron? I mean, that kind of stuff. That'd be funny. I think that would just spice things up a little bit, don't you? Well, it seems like the good folks over at Carnegie Mellon University need to work on their trash-talking skills, but they're on the right track, I would have to say. I think they deserve to be commended. All right, moving on to our next story. This one is remarkable to me. This is remarkable. Coming to us from UPI, February 24, 2020 is the byline. Dog reunited with Pennsylvania family after being stolen by hawk. Oh, wow. A Pennsylvania family was reunited with their dog 28 hours after the toy poodle was carried off by a hawk. That's horrifying. Honestly, I read this story already, and I thought to myself, in that first sentence, I imagined that moment while I'm standing out in the yard and my dog is taken by a hawk. Right in front of my eyes. I can't imagine the horror that those poor people must have felt. What a horrible thing. Deborah Falcione of Whitehall, Allegheny County, said her 16-year-old dog, Portia, who was deaf and blind, was snatched off the home's upper back deck Thursday. So this dog was obviously very old and infirmed, and I'm guessing spent its entire life with his family. It's just like a member, and then along comes a hawk. How horrid. Falcione said she gathered a group of friends and searched the area long into the night, but there were no signs of the toy poodle or the bird of prey who grabbed her. "I was crying my eyes out. She is my life. My dogs are my life," Falcione told WTAE-TV. Well, I dare say I'd cry my eyes out too. My goodness. How horrid. I would be standing there if a hawk took my dog, and I would, well, first off, I would do everything I could possibly do to try to prevent it, but I imagine I'd be standing there like, did that just happen? The shock of it all must have been overwhelming. Falcione said she was shocked to receive a call the next afternoon from Banfield Pet Hospital saying they had her dog. Why, yes, you would be shocked. Oh my God. I said, that's impossible. She could not have survived 28 hours out in the bitter cold weather in 10-degree weather. This is a 6.5-pound dog. She's blind. She's deaf. She's 16 years old. I went down there, and sure enough, this is the dog, the old dog with the strongest will to survive, Falcione said. Well, I guess so. It just begs the question, what happened? How did that dog get away from that hawk? What a remarkable story, but what a heartwarming story. Again, one more time, it's nice to see a story with a happy ending. The dog was safe and sound, and who knows how, but who cares? Why ask why? Now, I'll tell you, this story hits home for me a little bit because recently we've started to have a problem with coyotes in the area around our house, and we actually had a coyote sighting in our backyard. My son witnessed within about, I'd say, 20 feet a coyote, and we know there are coyotes in the area. And of course, we have 2 dogs. I have a large dog, Cooper. He's an 85-pound golden retriever, and then we have a smaller mixed dog, Luna. She's probably 20 pounds. She's a little dog. And from what I understand, one of the things these coyotes will do is they run in packs, but they will befriend your dog. And I don't know if this is true, so won't you please comment down below if I'm wrong or if this is misinformation. But I'm given to understand that they're clever enough to befriend your dog and then to lure them away from home. And then once they are away from home, then the pack will surround them and attack them. So these days, I've had to be on high alert whenever the dogs are outside. I go out with them, and I'm really, really on guard. And I've heard stories that sometimes these coyotes will be so brazen that even if the owner's with the dog, they'll still attempt to steal it. Again, I don't know if that's true because I've always regarded coyotes as being a little more, standoffish, maybe a little more skittish. And so if they saw humans, they'd take off and run away. But that may not be true. And so the point of this, why this story hit home for me is, again, I'm imagining if I was outdoors with my dog Luna, let's say, and along comes a coyote and steals her right in front of me and takes off with her. And I have this image in my mind of what that would be. And I feel for this woman in that moment, what that must have been, I can't even imagine. Right? And so I appreciate what this woman went through, and I feel so happy for her. I really do. It's amazing that she got her dog back, thankfully. I'm so happy for the outcome of this. All right, moving on. I thought I'd make a regular part of Breakfast Club interesting historical facts. There are some things that are, historically speaking, odd, weird, funny, ridiculous. So I thought maybe we would highlight some of these ridiculous things from history. So for this week, I found this historical fact. While in power, Pope Gregory IX declared that cats were to be associated with devil worship and had them exterminated. So this Pope, Gregory IX, decided that cats were evil and that he wanted them exterminated. I'm not a cat guy, but I've had cats. I like cats. I don't think they're evil. Let's just say they have their own mind. They do what they want when they want. But I don't think they're evil.
Go. This is Pinky. He's a male cat, domestic short hair. He's available for adoption. He's pet of the week, Placer County Animal Shelter.
Hang on this, please. Pinky, whoa.
Just disconnected from the deck.
But this guy decided that they were evil, so I want to consider what would happen today if we outlawed cats. Half of the internet would probably go away. Probably would never have started if you think about it. If it weren't for cats and porn, there probably wouldn't be an internet. Certainly wouldn't be a YouTube. So there's that. What would happen if we got rid of cats? Well, we actually have the answer from history. Some believe that the disappearance of those cats helped rats spread the bubonic plague or Black Death that killed millions of people in the 1300s. So here you have it. The cats were eating the rats. They destroyed the cats. The rat population got out of control, and thus began the bubonic plague, the Black Death. Well, it's a great illustration of unintended consequences. The Pope got rid of cats, and then the cats, because they were gone, didn't get rid of the rats, and the rats got rid of the people. What a strange circular irony. One last article. And I had to do it, guys. I had to do it. Flightless pigeon befriends puppy that can't walk at New York State Rescue. Let's take a look. Oh, good heavens. There's a puppy under that bird. That's the cutest thing I ever saw. So the deal is, the puppy can't walk, the bird can't fly, and they're in some kind of a rescue, a shelter, and they befriended each other. So I had to put it in here, guys. That's the cutest thing I ever saw. Well, I guess that's enough for one day, right? We got work to do. people to see, places to go. I want to thank you again for stopping by. It's always a pleasure to hang out. Make sure you check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Write me an email below, noredemptionoutdoors@gmail.com. Drop us a comment. Say hello. I appreciate it a great deal. Appreciate all your support. And as always, until we meet again, folks, take care.
Jag är somali och jag rappar mina rötter, ey. 15 000 det är bara mina fötter, ey. Jag är somali, rappar Mali.